Speaker. Australia is a country with a bright future for our citizens. A future made in Australia, the National Reconstruction Fund, energy transition, these are all big policies that are driving industry and opportunity that every Australian will benefit from, whether it is from secure, well-paid jobs that they will create, the services they will benefit from, or the thriving economy. The one thing that all these strategies need is a skilled workforce. And for many of these jobs, an apprenticeship, university or TAFE qualification is the entry ticket. When we came into government, we inherited workforce shortfalls across the economy. There wasn't a sector that I didn't hear from telling me how hard it was to get the skilled workforce they needed. Tradies, health sector, retail services, manufacturing, defence, the list goes on. The previous government ran down TAFE and universities, cutting their funding, jacking up the cost of degrees, and making students and graduates pay their HECS or HELP debt when they could least afford it, as they were setting up their career and setting up their lives post-qualification. No wonder there was a shortage of skilled workers. This government knows that many students are doing it tough, and that's why we're changing the way that HELP debt is calculated. Legislation is currently before Parliament to make the indexation rate the lower of CPI and the Wages Price Index, and we're backdating that to the 1st of June 2023. This makes indexation fairer and wipes around $3 billion in student debt for more than 3 million Australians. And it means that your HECS or HELP debt won't go up faster than your wages. Around 80% of those who will benefit from this change are 40 years of age or under, and 50% are 30 years of age or under, the same people who are trying to set up their lives while they establish their career, maybe buy a house, start a family. This is practical and direct cost of living measure to help them at the stage of life that they need it most. We also heard from students required to do unpaid pracs as part of their qualification. Some of them had to give up paid work to complete their pracs. Some of them had to move from where they lived to a city and pay for accommodation and expenses away from home. Some just couldn't afford to do an unpaid prac, and so they didn't finish their qualification. That's an enormous loss to them, but it's also an enormous loss to the country. And so we're introducing paid pracs to social work, nursing, midwifery and teaching so that they can afford to complete their prac and complete their qualification. These reforms provide cost of living relief for students and graduates and make higher education better and fairer. We're also massively expanded and properly funded fee-free uni-ready courses to help students set up for success. We've doubled the number of regional university study hubs and established hubs in outer suburbs for the first time. We've established a national student ombudsman to investigate student complaints. And of course our massively popular fee-free TAFE program, which has delivered over 500,000 places so far and is set to be made permanent. What next? Glad you asked. A re-elected Albanese Labor government will wipe student debt by 20%. That will wipe a further $16 billion in student debts for around 3 million Australians. Apprenticeship loans, TAFE and university loans. When I paid my HECS debt, it was calculated at around 30% of the cost of the course. It's now 40%. Students nowadays are paying more per course than my cohort, and at a time when we want more apprentices, more TAFE and more university-qualified workforce. We will also raise the income threshold at which you need to start repaying your student debt. The previous LNP government lowered it so that students and graduates on relatively low wages had to start repaying. But we want students and graduates to be able to set up their careers and their lives post-qualification. And we will also change the way the repayment is calculated so that the minimum repayment is lower. Deputy Speaker, we want Australians to have good, well-paid, secure jobs, and we want Australia to have the skilled workforce that we need to become an economic powerhouse in this changing world. Helping students and graduates with their student debt is a practical way to achieve both those things and help them with the cost of living.